A pleasant day to each and everyone. So here is again your English teacher, Ma'am Jane, and I will be explaining to you the what is it part in this module. And this module again is entitled Developing Critical Thinking Through Word Analogy. So remember, we already had the lesson analogy in the first grading. So this is just a recap. So if you will notice, this module is a remaining module under quarter 2. But remember students that I will record this in your quarter 3. So we are done with the first parts in this module. So I already sent this one in your GC. Let us now go on to what is it part. So at the bottom part of this page, you will see the meaning of analogy. It says, an analogy is a type of word problem that consists of two word pairs. The first pair of words has a relationship similar to the second pair. So we have here an example, this one. So if you will notice, we have here two pairs. The first one, this one, and the second one, this one. And this analogy or these two pairs are being connected with the word as. And for you to answer an analogy, for example, this one is incomplete, or this pair is incomplete. So for you to complete this pair, you need to analyze the relationship of these two. So that will give you a clue and a hint for you to answer an analogy correctly. So in the second part, we have here the two ways on how we write an analogy. So it can be in a statement form, just like this one, in a sentence form, or it can be in an abbreviated form, just like this one, with colon. And the two pairs are separated with two colons. But when you read this one, it should be almost the same with this. So, ang tamang basa is yes. Yes is to no, as right is to wrong. So, this is the representation. To continue, let us now go on with the types of analogy. First, we have synonym analogy. So, when we say synonym, all you need to do is to remember this one, same meaning. So, when we say synonym, these are the words with the same meaning. For example, the word full is synonymous to the word filled, and the word begun is synonymous to the word started. So, when you combine those two pairs, it will become full is to filled, as begun is to started. So they are synonym analogy. So we have here examples of synonym analogy. So do not include the second example because I think this one is had or have a typographical error. So when we say baby, that is synonymous with infant. When we say fall, that is the synonym for autumn. Kaya when you read this example, it will, or you will say baby is to infant as fall is to autumn. Another, find is to locate as surprise is to amaze. So they are examples of synonym analogy. The second one, we have antonym analogy. So when we say antonym, all you need to remember is this word, opposite meaning. In other words, they have different meaning. For example, we have here freedom. So freedom, the opposite is captivity. And optimism, always positive, that is the meaning of that. The opposite, of course, is negativity. So therefore, when you combine those two pairs, you will say freedom is to captivity as optimism is to negativity. So they are antonym analogy. So we have here another examples of antonym analogy. For example, give is to take. Of course, add is to subtract. So if you will notice in the first pair, they are antonyms. So you will apply that also in the second pair. So this will be antonym as well. Okay, now, so this is the third type of analogy. Number 3, cause and effect analogy. So cause and effect analogy presents pairs of words in which one thing leads to another. So in Tagalog, it is almost the same with sanhi at bunga. Or for example, this one, thirst. If you are thirsty, of course you will drink. So this is the sanhi and this is the effect or bunga. If you are hungry, of course, you will eat. So that is cause and effect. Number 4, we have action analogy. So when we say action or action analogy, it presents pairs of words portraying the performer and its corresponding action. For example, author is to write, a soldier is to combat. So author is the performer in where he writes, and soldier is the performer in where he fights or combats. So we have here another example. So meow is the cat, as bark is the dog. So of course, teach is the teacher, as cure is the doctor. So that is action analogy. Number 5, we have function analogy. So when we say function, it presents pairs of words portraying the object and its use or purpose. Object at gamit. For example, cooking is to stove, or stove is to cooking. Washing is to sink. Lababo, just like that. So knife is to cut, shovel is to dig. So ear is to hear, as mouth is to sing. So those are examples of function analogy, gamit. Next, number 6, part to whole analogy. So part to whole analogy presents pairs of words portraying one thing as a smaller part of a bigger whole. For example, star is to constellation, as raindrop is to rain. So part, this is the part, and this is the whole part. This is the part, and this is the whole part. Okay, so that is part to whole. So we have here another example. So days is a part of a week. Months are parts of year. Hand is to finger, as tree is to leaf. Okay, so that is types of analogy. So remember, students, we have 6 types of analogy. So we have here an example on the next part. So I told you analogy is composed of 2 parts. This is the first part, and this is the second part. If you will notice, the second part is incomplete. So for you to complete the second part, you need to analyze the relationship in the first part. So tire is to car. So it is almost the same with the last one that we discussed, part to whole. So since this is about part to whole, so you will apply that relationship or that type into the second part. So the correct answer is sleeve is to shirt or t-shirt. Okay, so these are the 5 steps in solving an analogy problems. And the first one is decide upon the relationship between the first pair of words. So just like what we did a while ago, we find the relationship in the first pair. And the second step, state the relationship of the first pair. So try to go back to the types of analogy. What is their relationship? So just like what I told you, tire is part of a car, and car is a whole. Third step, examine the third word. So the third word should state a part, while the fourth word should be a whole. And the third given word is sleeve. Sleeve, this one. So this will be your basis. Study the third word or examine the third word. And the fourth step, select a fourth word that will make the third and fourth words the same or have the same relationship with the first and the second words. So you will think of the suited word here that has something to do with sleeve, and they should have same relationship with this pair of word. And the last part, be ready to explain your fourth word selection. Okay, so that will be the content of this module number 6, and later in your GC I will be sending you activity regarding this one. So enjoy learning, everyone, and have a safe and blessed day. Goodbye.